Good afternoon, good evening, LinkedIn friends, Value First Nation. Welcome to another episode of Value First Data. Here with Casey and Klemen talking about the value of curated data today. Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday. It's been a while.
It feels like it's been forever, like if I'm being honest. I mean, Clement and I chose to have a good conversation last week around this time, which is like distilled this idea that we're going to talk about today. But yeah, I guess cool kids like you guys take vacations and stuff. And, so it's been a bit.
It's so annoying when Chris says this. Like, he can't. Like, he's incapable of doing this.
Oh, I mean, on some levels, I haven't shown capability yet, right? So
there's that.
You could,
right?
Theoretically.
I could. Well, I am getting out of town this weekend to drive my wife to a 50K run that's happening at night and get to drive back 3 hours and 2 in the morning. So it's going to be cool.
Exhausting to hear.
Yeah. And, so this weekend that meant I had to get really good at using Claude on mobile and remote control. So, and I think we're dialing it in. And it actually does tie in wonderfully to this topic today, which we started talking about, like how everybody's struggling to get to ROI of AI. And just when you can't do easy math based on billable hours and the usual KPIs, like how do you know outside of when people feel it, right? We talk about unified views and like just the way that you can, see people starting to get it, understanding the value of good data, of unified data, and like the conversations change and they start to come up with ideas faster. Like you can't measure that easily. But also had many conversations about Ryan Ginsberg about like the build is the easy part, right? If the build is the easy part and you're not selling the build anymore, like what is the value that we create, provide, deliver, right? And so we're going to dig into that. I obviously have many thoughts, but I'm curious, Clemen, like since our conversation so long ago, have you thought about this? Like you guys are talking to people every day, trying to help them with their AI native, transformations. Like what are you hearing out there?
I'm translating what I'm hearing into from a partner perspective, like us. The challenging part is now each of us are seeing all that shiny things that you can do and just throw that in Claude and it will figure it out. And you feel that you can do that for, I don't know, $10 or whatever. And then when a partner like us talks to you and you ask them to build something that is useful, it's not $20. That build is not $20. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. It's not that you just throw it in Claude or whatever AI you have, and it will figure it out. So in a way, I feel that it seems because of all the fluff that we are bombarded with, it feels it's so easy, but it's not. And when you really try to do a proper implementation of AI, and that's why I believe most of AI things fail, because you cannot vibe code a real process without understanding the design, and this design and thoughtful design of what needs to be built. For this, you need an experienced person, and this is what I think partners can really bring, and this is the value. And one who build these things and understands where AI can help and where it cannot can give you a really good solution in 2 hours. But the value of that is way beyond billing you 2 hours. There might be other partners, even if they bill you for 100 hours, they will not be able to give you that level of design and the quality of design. So I feel we are fighting with that. Hey, it's super easy to build. I got a recording shared by someone asking if we can help them do some AI stuff for one of their customers. And on the call, the guy said, no, they're thinking of using one of those, I don't know, it was Gong or some other system. And the guy on the call, like in 2 seconds, said, oh, don't worry, we'll throw that in Claude and we'll get you that for half of the price of a subscription of Gong. Without knowing what to build, what is anything, we'll just do it for half of a price, vibe coding in an hour. If this is the state of people are selling, I'm afraid people don't understand and really understand how hard it is to build something that will work. So yeah, this is currently where my mind is around, what's the value? This is the value one can bring to you, and will make a difference of charging you 5K and you end up with nothing, and maybe charging you 10K and you end up with something that will work.
So delivering something that works is the value. What do you think about that, Casey?
I mean, I think that's true. When we talk about the value of AI, I keep coming back to a conversation we had last week, Chris, where someone said it's like if you were to put you were trying to calculate the ROI of your computer. And like, I've actually been thinking about that conversation ever since. And I think it's really accurate. Like, if you asked what the ROI on my laptop, like, I don't know. And the same thing with, a lot of, if you're paying for Microsoft Office and like Word, and no one's calculating the ROI on those pieces, but there's this expectation to have an ROI on AI, but in fact it's one of our like foundational tools at this point, which is weird because it's still
it's infrastructure.
Yeah.
Right. And like, this was always my most frustrating part of being a marketing leader, is like, so we have all these expectations, especially in manufacturing. Like, we're like spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on capital equipment is the usual thing. Yeah, we budget for it, but it's not hard. Like, we know what the ROI is going to be because it's all ones and zeros, like on the production side of the fence. Meanwhile, marketing and sales and that whole side, it's like, we got to grow by millions. That's the goal. Can we spend $10,000 on a website, please? I don't know. That's like a lot. Like, can you tell me what the ROI is right now of that 10,000? It's like, it's crazy. And it's why it keeps coming up in our conversations, because we have to find a way to explain, like, in it that's better than like just look at it and like you will get to this and the conversations, all the things that we've been talking about on this series, basically. Like, can we get better at defining, that value? Like, what is the actual outcome? As you've been like, have you come up with any ideas, like, from like, if you're thinking about that computer, like, what's the ROI? Like, what has come to mind, like, as like if somebody were to challenge you on that, like, how would you try to, support the value that you provide, like, right now?
Well, no is the short answer. But the long answer is I have always struggled, as long as I've been freelancing, I guess I've struggled with that, like, what is the value I bring? Because oftentimes the type of projects I'm working on is improving efficiencies, or, I say a lot, I work where the sales and marketing handoff, like that's where I work. And it's hard to measure the ROI of like improved handoffs. Like, and like, sure, I could say like we closed more deals or something like that, but the reality is, there's a lot of things changing all the time. And so I've always had a really hard time claiming that like I am personally responsible for this closing because of how amazing the handoff was. And I mean, as we go into the AI, I mean, it's more of that. Like, is our amazing AI data the reason that this deal closed? Probably not. Sometimes directly, but almost always there's like a million different things going on there. And the unfortunate truth too is when we look at like trends, so if we were to look at like, okay, this year versus last year, this year we really invested in AI, and so we are kind of like looking year over year at the difference. But even that is a really challenging thing to like say, because we invested in AI, this happened, when there are a lot of other things going on right now that may be benefiting or hurting your business outside of your AI investment or your marketing investment or anything. I don't know. I hate this question. I hate it. I've always hated it.
Oh, we're about to love it. We're about to love it. And this could only come from like, we have been using AI. Like, we have become AI native. We are starting to understand like our pains that we're experiencing when you lean into AI too much, and like, what exactly are we doing when we pull back? As you were talking, Klemen, what came to mind is like, again, this is stuff we've been saying out loud, but it's been hard to like categorize it or label it. Like, when you use the expertise to just build quickly and try to automate any process 100%, it's inevitable that like 95% of it, like, so last mile, all of the terms that we've been using to describe this issue, like, it's inevitable that there is like the 5% must be fixed for the 95%, that value to be realized, even though it could be like amazing value, it gets turned around so quick. But to get the last mile done, you are forced to go through AI. like to fix whatever the issues were, like the words on the page or, the misspelled graphic, like all these things. And it actually removes the opportunity to use your expertise, like in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And what a lot of my builds have not gone finished or like shared with clients because it's like, oh man, this would be so good right now. But in order to fix this small issue, I have to prompt Claude. We have to have a conversation about it. I don't have time to do that. And like, it just like goes by the wayside. So I think our value becomes as we learn, it's like, okay, I need to be present here at this moment. That means I need to build this much right here in preparation for me being in the 5% spot to quickly say, yes, it's good, add it in, fix it myself, like all these things. And that's where organizations like our value becomes like helping unlock that expertise and applying it like appropriately. And it relates to where I am on a walk like this weekend, and the ability to start 5 sessions and have all of them keep going with me just one tap, like make a decision where I've understood, like I did the prep before going on the walk, right? I have goals of things I'm trying to accomplish. And like there's values, there's this whole value system, a value first. It's all this is aligned, right? And it's all built into the AI infrastructure so that I don't need to solve for a lot of the things, that others might have to solve for as we're having these conversations. So I can confidently say, I just need like a phone's worth of review to click the answer to your question. And we go one at a time, and I'm cycling through these sessions. And when we say like, we're going to give you a unified customer view so that everybody that goes and looks at that view has context that they need, they trust it, they know what it means and what action they're supposed to take, and then it's easy for them to take that action, right? Like that's what I'm trying to fit into like curated data. That becomes possible when you can curate the process and the people and the data all into this moment of at any given time, somebody's going to come in here. All of that stuff is going to be working so that I know the signal that Klemen just gave me, like, yep, that means I'm supposed to call him. I know exactly how to call him, and that if I do call him, he will answer and we will have a good conversation and value will, start to flow. So while we've been talking, I've been putting a visual together. But I'm curious, Klemen, when we talked about that last week, like, have you had any further conversations with clients or, buyers, hand raisers about like this defining the value of this activity?
Somewhat related to that, I had a chat yesterday with a one-man band head of marketing at a company of 150 people, where she kind of got a mandate to turn their messy HubSpot, whereas she said they were almost canceling. Now they extended for a year, where they have everything, all the hubs, but on the other side, all the relevant context and dashboards which are useless and so forth. And her kind of mandate, the goal is make it as a growth machine, a piece where they can trust the dashboards. After first minute of her describing what she thinks, my thought was, oh, we'll need to configure things in HubSpot, but then after second minute, it got clear to me, no, it's the context that is messed up. All the irrelevant context, which is just blurring everything. Dashboards cannot work if lifecycle stages are not clear, if they're not up to date. They have ERP and HubSpot totally disconnected. So there's nothing around customers in HubSpot. They have no idea who is a customer in HubSpot. I mean, there's no way you can have a dashboard that is meaningful to you if you don't connect those two worlds. There's just no way. So it's back to the context. If you don't have the full context around contact, company, deal, everything that is shared among everyone and accessible from CEO, CFO down to SDR, if you will, and anything in between, nothing will work. No fancy AI will help you do that. There's no point of trying to build shiny pre-meeting brief if the underlying data is just at that level. No matter how good of an expert I am in building a dashboard or a report in HubSpot, no matter what I build there, it won't help, because the data that is presented on that dashboard is just not right and not correct. So no dashboard will help you. You need to solve that context, and data is part of the context. And following that discussion, I've been today thinking a lot about what is the next step there, and it's not only cleaning up data, but thinking what unified customer view and what context you need to answer the questions. And if part of that is, hey, we need to know which domains are our customers so we can do ABM play, then we'll need to figure out how to bring data from ERP to HubSpot. There's just no other way we can help you. Yes, it will cost something, but if you want to grow, you need to start there. So yeah, the right context keeps coming back into every conversation.
And it's starting to work. I mean, at least this is the point of like qualification and fit. But like, I haven't scared anybody away with those kinds of conversations. It's not easy. Like, and there's lots of friction because there's all this concern that if we do it the right way and take the time to get the data model together, that's going to push out like the lead gen stuff and the lead scoring and like all this stuff that we're supposed to be doing. And I think it's on us, if we have expertise, it's on us on how to use AI to have the conversations we need to have and to move fast enough to get the data model done. Because that's the only, like, if you have signed up for the outcome, like they're paying you for an outcome, and you try to save time in the data model design, like it's just, they're not going to get what they're paying you for. And they need more people, willing to say that. I don't think I've said it on a live show yet, but like, we need to start telling CFOs that they can't have the AI ROI dashboards that they're asking for. Like, it's just smoke and mirrors anymore. We can create visibility into the value that's being created, but not via the KPIs of old. And so here's what my friends have created for us to talk about. And again, so this is one shot in the context of a session that was already prepping for this show, but have not reviewed this yet. And like, if you like what you're seeing, like, this is the value of having the context architecture and like pristine condition. But it took like months and months of building with AI to like understand the architecture. A 90-minute conversation with Klemen last week, where we are having lots of other conversations where we're trying to understand what challenges and like all of that. Hopefully, if you're a practitioner, consultant, coach out there, like, we all have to get good at like explaining that expertise, because that's how we deliver, the value that we're talking about. In this case, the surface isn't the value. The value is the ease and scalability of curation that applies human domain expertise with precision. I think this part is huge too. Like, while AI and humans can both watch, learn, and apply it, right? Like, at the simplest level, it's not nearly like the amount of opportunity left on the table in most organizations when you have like one HubSpot super user, but you can't get anybody else to learn what they're doing. You haven't created the space. Like, there's just unreal value there. And AI is that bridge now, because we know that things like Breeze Assistant, if it's looking at a blank record, it can't, like, what is it supposed to do? All it can do, if you really try hard, is make shit up, like, based on the other data set. But when it's put in a position, and this is where like the ease and scalability is, can the human just put 30 seconds in to say, hey, this signal means this. So I'm going to update this property real quick and associate this record now, right? And now the context picture is clear. Other humans can see it. AI can see it. And the action of doing that and then talking about it in meetings and stuff, like, you have to create that space. And everybody can build in silos right now. And everybody is building in silos. And it's super valuable until somebody asks how you did it.
Yeah.
Give me that prompt. Give me that prompt, Klemen. Like, let me try it. Yeah.
Or that skill.
Right.
I mean, the term we keep getting back internally is AI availability of the context, which is, from my life sciences days, bioavailability is, how much of a drug that you swallow with a pill is available to act in your body. If none of it is absorbed from your gut, nothing will happen. The same goes with context for AI. If you have 5,000 documents in your Google Drive or wherever, and none of it is available to AI in an AI readable format, nothing will happen. It will be as good as blank AI. Can you draft an email for me?
3 months
And
later.
3 months, yeah. and still asking why AI is not working for you. We're now building an agent where the most of the context is, or initially was, in PDF brochures, in tables, in images, and whatnot. And yes, a human opens that PDF, one of them out of 600, skims through, and you can find what you're looking for. If you throw that in AI, nothing will happen in a reliable way. Of course, sometimes it might work, and then we go back to initial conversation. No, a proof of concept is something. A reliable use of AI is another level of complexity, which means a lot of pre-processing of the context unification of context and gathering the context in a unified way and a unified place, accessible to humans and to AI, in a way you can collaborate and work on the same file. That's where those two worlds will successfully work. And then a layer above that is you on your own locally with Claude is one. Then how you share that context in always up-to-date manner within the team or the entire organization is then kind of another level of complexity. Of course, there will be clashes. Two people or two Claude sessions are simultaneously editing stuff and that. So this is a second layer of things you need to solve. But if the context is not available outside of your brain, AI cannot have it and cannot deliver what you expected, considering your context in your mind.
Yeah. And it's been, I've appreciated getting to collaborate with Casey on a couple client projects over the last year, and being a little envious of how good you are at like follow-up, like emails and like communicating, like always, like you never seem to miss those follow-ups. And like, but that's what I am learning in terms of like the non-negotiables of where human expertise needs to be applied. Like if we only have 5 minutes to apply judgment in an hour because we're just busy or we're on calls, right? Like this is how hard it has been for me. And I think which you're in this space of just trying to automate and like take the human out of the loop, like literally the value that I did not describe while I said what went into this was after the conversation with Klemen, I had to process the transcript and distill, like when we have our aha moments on that call, I had to like distill them. I can't just like let the transcript go and then come back to it and say, hey, remember that conversation? What were the highlights? Like the chance that I agree with what those highlights were are low. And if it's a week later, there's zero chance I have anything to say about it. And like this morning, it's like, okay, if we agree that the human must process the transcript in some way, like at all costs, like no human should be off the hook. The human that was on the call must be involved in the process. And when you get the commands right, get the skills right, it takes like 5 minutes, right? But in my mind, I'm like, man, where's the 5 minutes going to come from? I did back-to-back meetings. And naturally, our 11 o'clock client call is scheduled for an hour, naturally wraps 10 minutes early. And I'm like, oh my God. There's the 5 minutes.
You need to just set up your email settings you can set it up in Gmail to just default to the
I do
50-minute. Yeah,
I do. I don't know if that's one of those, but like it's like fake. I mean, it's easy to just not adhere to it and just go to the hour and then roll to the next one. And then you get to the end of the day and it's like, man, today I think it was valuable. Like I feel like a lot of value happened, but I guess we'll like start processing it now and you get to like half the transcripts. And like, did you I mean, have you always been that like good at follow up, or did you like experience that with AI like early on and be like, oh man, this is a
No,
priority?
I've always been good at follow up. Oh. I don't like to say I'm good at anything. That felt gross.
We're making progress, Klemen. Making progress.
I've always prioritized follow up, but AI has made it like significantly easier. However, I mean, as you know, Chris, I've been complaining a lot lately about my meeting schedule. Like I'm on meetings most days, and I do think part of the pain I feel with that is I get to the end of a day where I'm on meetings from 8 to 5 and I'm like, all right, buckle up. We got call follow up for the next couple hours because there was no time during the day. However, I will say like it has become very clear to me, more clear recently, the importance of keeping the human in the loop, because it could be very easy for me to just send those transcripts, get the emails written, and then even I could conceivably send those emails out without me touching anything. But just this morning, actually, so our morning show is a great example of where it's something I do. I write 2 blogs for the morning show every day. So, I mean, we've been doing the Another Orange Morning for going on 2 months now, a month and a half. So, I mean, I've done it 20, 30 times, something like that. And just every morning I read through the blog it generates and I'm like, that's weird. That was a weird that was a weird interpretation of that conversation. And because it's a transcript, like it's missing the emotions. I tend to be sarcastic. That doesn't come off great in a transcript format. So sometimes stuff like that gets a little missed. That's true on my calls too. And it can be hard to resist the temptation of just taking myself out of the loop.
I think the goal should be what Chris said, not take you out of the loop, but give you that 5-10 minutes to stay in the loop, because that 5 minutes of you explaining the context, which is not available in the raw transcript, is what makes the follow-up or any action that should follow that. I stopped doing it, but for a while I was looking at what AI proposes as tasks being created or follow-ups and next steps. I don't find that useful for that same reason, which is my thoughts, my 4 notes. I keep having my notebook, physical one, even though I have on every call now 2 AI note takers. I keep having my physical one. Just write those 3 bullet points down during the conversation. So I know what are the highlights, and I can go back to, okay, this is my note. Can you help me get that part of a transcript around that topic, which was the most important one we discussed? And for the internal discussions, what I'm now facing is we brainstorm through 4 different ideas how to frame something, or what should be the proposal, or how to do it. And when raw transcript gets out, it's all four of those buckled up in a transcript. If you just blindly throw that in the cloud. Hey, act on what we now agreed. It will be just a mix of everything without clear indication. Hey, at last 10% of a meeting we agreed, ignore the other part, what we discussed, because it was a brainstorming and just circling around and playing with all the variations. That context, what is relevant out of 30 minutes discussion, is what can make it way more useful than it would just throwing a raw transcript somewhere.
Yeah. And by the way, like if you're just a good human being and you add value and you show up consistently trying to help people, it gets easier like to use AI. Like I built this while we were talking the first 20 minutes. I just said, ask, like, here's the, like, this is what was happening, right? I did the show prep. And then at the end, I'm like, hey, like, can you build a really nice visual resource to support the episode today? Right. And the fact that this slide happens to be like dead on what we're talking about in the conversation, like I scripted it feels good. So like when you are like, if you stop trying to the shortcut and like trick the system and just hack into your APIs or that too. But like hack through your KPIs and just get the KPIs done and then stuff will take care of itself. Like that's just not the case like anymore. Meanwhile, you have a bunch of good humans in your organization wanting to create and add value. And if they can't break out of their KPIs to one, develop a system like this or work with experts that can develop, and then decide like the most important part of this next hour is like the 5 minutes right after we just talked about all of the stuff that we talk about every day. It's so easy. Like that's our expertise. That's what we do. If we don't take this moment, like the value of that conversation just drops dramatically and very quickly. So is that what we do in a nutshell? Klemen, we help.
I hope. I mean, that's I don't know. The audience will tell, but I hope we help in that direction. Time will tell. Yes.
Yeah. I love this positioning here. That's beautiful. So we're gonna keep digging into like data and what you're doing with it and why what we're seeing out there that's working for folks, and try to put it into words that everybody can understand and we can understand, so that we can keep learning and growing with everybody out there. So hope this was helpful. And until next week, everybody have a great rest of your Tuesday.
Enjoy. See you next week.